the algorithm. And, basically my story of the story that Frances Haugen has been telling to Congress, I think they just wrapped up, in fact. And let me start with the difference between cocaine and crack cocaine. You can actually online buy coca leaf to make tea out of. Right? There's a little tiny bit of cocaine in it. They've, in South America, in the Andes, in the mountains of South America, they've been chewing coca leaf and making coca tea for millennia, for thousands of years. Basically the same way that people in India and Southwest Asia have been using, well, actually across Southern Asia, have been using tea as a source of caffeine. It's just a very mild stimulant. However, if you extract that cocaine from the coca leaf, concentrate it, and then treat it with baking soda, alkalize it, change its pH, it becomes something known as free base. Base means alkaline. It becomes free base crack cocaine. We see the same thing, by the way, because it sticks by changing its pH. What you've done is you've converted the cocaine into a compound that sticks very quickly to blood cells and therefore gets to them really fast and hits the nervous system, wham, like that. And the more rapid you can produce a high, the more addictive the substance will become over time. It's the same thing with tobacco in the United States. American tobacco companies for years have added ammonia to tobacco. Why? Because it alters the pH of the nicotine, which makes the nicotine hit the bloodstream faster. So cigarettes in the United States are like crack cigarettes in many other countries. Although around the world, many tobacco companies do the same thing. It's the same reason why they put sugar in children's cereals, right? Is that sudden rush. So and there's a reason why we respond this way. I mean, anytime we're confronted by shocking or novel stimuli, it causes a very rapid release in our brain of certain chemical neurotransmitters, particularly dopamine, but also adrenaline. That comes out of our adrenal glands over. They give us a very weak high by increasing our alertness and stimulating the reward centers of our brain. And evolution built this into us for a reason. There's a reason why if we see a tiger when we're out, 10 years ago, out walking around in the forest, and you see a tiger and realize that it lives in that particular part of the forest, that makes a much bigger impression on your brain than noticing where a squirrel lives. Because that tiger, if you don't know where that tiger lives, you might blunder into there and he will eat you. I mean, this is literally evolution wired us to have strong emotional and thereby, intellectual, cognitive connections to things that produce strong emotional response, including fear, but also anger, rage, outrage. I mean, just the whole spectrum of emotions. So, how does this apply to social media? Okay, Uncle Ralph and Aunt Sally go to the beach and have their vacation. They take some pictures of their vacation. They post those pictures on a social media site. Let's say that, you've got the ocean, you've got the beach, you've got Uncle Ralph, you got Aunt Sally. Aunt Sally's wearing an old, 2000 Bush Cheney t-shirt. So now the computer algorithm, the brain in the machine, looks at this picture or reads this story and says to itself, what do I want to emphasize about this and push out to other people? Do I push out other pictures of Uncle Ralph for people who saw this and thought it was interesting? Oh, you want more of Ralph? Here he is. Here's when he was with an army buddy 10 years ago. Or pictures of Aunt Sally? Or do you want pictures of people on a beach or taking vacations? Do you want to push those out? Or do you want to take Aunt Sally's t-shirt and say, oh, Bush Cheney, let's link to a page about how Bush and Cheney were president and vice president when those Muslims hit us on 9/11. And then that will link to a page about how those Muslims are actually, evil people who want to destroy America and they're coming for your town. And then that will link to a page that says, and not only that, the Democrats like them. And then that'll link to a page that says, and those Democrats are drinking the blood of children. And pretty soon, when you wake up from this social media induced high, you wake up on the floor of the U.S. Capitol with a bloody flagpole in your hand and a cop, unconscious on the floor in front of you. I mean, that's literally what has happened here. It's the algorithm, stupid. The algorithm is the mathematical formula, the piece of computer code that has been tweaked and tweaked and tweaked and tweaked to try to do what's called drive engagement by taking the most inflammatory pieces of content and pushing them as far as possible to as many people as possible. Whether it's politically inflammatory, whether it's socially inflammatory, whether it's the stuff that is like, whoa, teenagers looking at body image issues and posts and rants and, the promotion of anorexia, or whether it's the promotion of left or right. I don't know where left politics gets real violent these days. I mean, the SDS, the Weather Underground has been gone for a long, long time. But, whatever. Pushing the extremes. Now, it doesn't have to be this way. The algorithms don't have to make these kinds of decisions, just like people who harvest coca leaf don't need to process it with baking soda to make crack cocaine, and tobacco companies don't need to add ammonia to cigarettes to make them 10 or 20 times more addictive, and the big cereal companies don't need to add sugar to cereal. But they all do it because it increases their profits. It gets people addicted, and that's what these algorithms are doing for these social media companies. And this is not rocket science. It's not that hard to rewrite the algorithm to say, if it's Uncle Ralph and Aunt Sally's vacation, how about some more pictures of Uncle Ralph and Aunt Sally? Or some more stories about them or people related to them? Or how about some more stories about nice vacations? Rather than finding the one piece that might be tweaked to be inflammatory. The problem is that kind of a social media algorithm, while it would build a nice place to go keep track of family and friends, and would make money, it's a profitable business model, would not turn its founders into some of the most wealthy people on the planet. It would merely turn them into multimillionaires or billionaires. And it looks to me like that's what's going on right here. The algorithm is the key to the profitability, and it's the key to the societal damage that social media is doing. In this case, specifically talking about Facebook, but more generally, I mean, this is, it's funny, Facebook has been running ads recently saying, please regulate us. I'm saying, yeah, good plan. Let's start out by mandating transparency in algorithms. And begin at that point. Because that's where, that is the unique difference between like just a website that posts stuff, a blog, a message board, and a system that drives rage, basically.